Hi, I'm Emma and I'm going to be walking you through creating your first Google Ads account and the first campaign within that account. So to get started, make sure you are logged into the Google account that you want to use to log into your Google Ads account. And then you're going to click on the 9 dots up here, scroll until you find Google Ads, go to Google Ads, and then you're going to click Start Now. Okay, from here you're going to start entering information about your business. So it's really important to check that these details are all correct. Sometimes they can default to a different country and they can be a bit of a challenge to change later down the line. If not, sometimes you can't change them. So just check that these are all correct. So your country, the time zone and the currency especially, because whatever currency you input here will be displayed within any reporting within your Google Ads account going forward. So we want to make sure that's correct. So that's all correct for me, so I'm going to click continue. And then in this next step, you're going to set up your payment information and the billing details for the payment method that you would like to use to pay for your Google Ads spend. So only click spend. So again, make sure that these details are correct based on where your business is. If you do have a promotional introductory offer, here's where you put in the code. Google will run a lot of the time offers where if you spend a certain amount in ad spend, you'll get X amount free, or starting off with a certain amount for free. So it's always good to see if there is an offer running at the moment. If there is one, put the code there. And then you're going to come down here to enter information about your business and you're going to create a new payments profile. It's important to note when you create this profile, you're going to have the option of organisation or individual. What you choose here will determine what information is asked for when Google requires you to do advertiser verification further down the line once your account is created. So just make sure you choose the most relevant option for your business, because with one, I think it's with individual, they're more likely to ask for details like a driver's license or passport to verify your identity, whereas if you select organisation, they're going to ask for more official business documentation, maybe like VAT numbers, business registration numbers, so on and so forth. So just make sure you select the most relevant option to you, and then you're going to fill out the relevant information for your business. I'm going to fill this out for Meta Growth Tech because that's the business I'm going to be doing this for today. I'll do that shortly. And then I'm going to continue filling out these details. Payment method, I'll input the details of the payment card that I want to use for my click spend. If you are going to be putting in a payment card, then just make sure that whoever is linked to that card is available, because Google will probably do a dummy transaction and someone will need to verify that with their bank before you can continue. So just make sure you're on hand to do that. And then finally, you've got this option down here about getting personalized guidance from a Google Ads expert by phone or messaging. This is basically you'll get random phone calls from Google support reps, normally once or twice a quarter, and then they change every quarter. For this instance, I'm going to select no, and I'm going to fill out these details and then we'll go to the next step. So once the payment has gone through, you'll see this on the next page that you're all set and you can continue to your account. And this is the view for your brand new Google Ads account. You can see your account ID up here in the corner, as well as the email address that you've used to log in. It's important to note that Google goes through, or has been going through, a few redesigns lately. So what my account looks like here might look a bit different to what you're used to, but this is the most up-to-date layout. If you do want to switch back to one of the older layouts, you can go to Appearance and use Previous Design. But for the purpose of this, because this is the most up-to-date layout, I'm going to continue like this. So we're going to start by creating our first campaign. So I'm going to click on New Campaign. And here it gives you a few different options. It tries to guide you based on what your goals are. We've got sales, leads, website traffic, app promotion, awareness and consideration, local store visits, and create a campaign without a goals guidance. Now, if we choose this, then it gives us all the options of the different campaign types that are available. The only real difference is if we select something else. Let's say, for example, we select leads, it's going to prompt you to select a certain type of campaign. And honestly, if you select sales, website traffic, it's all going to try and push you towards a performance max campaign type. But for this, I'm going to do create without guidance, and we're going to be talking about creating a search campaign today. So a search campaign is when you make a search in Google, the ads that you see at the top, which are just text ads, that is what a search campaign is. So we're going to go ahead and create one of them. And with the results that you want to get from this campaign, website visits, you can do phone calls as well. But I'm going to go with just website visits for the moment. I'm not going to go with phone calls because that is something that you'll set up later on in conversion tracking, which is a whole nother topic. We are going to be doing some videos on creating or setting up call tracking for phone call conversions. So for now, I'm just going to select website visits, and in that I'm going to input my website URL, which I've got here. And then the goals that we're going to want to focus on are, we would like form submissions from our website. And then we're going to go straight into naming the campaign. You can really use whatever name you want. It's more about what's going to make sense to you. So I think I will go with considering the service that we're going to be doing. WordPress security, and sometimes people add on the end the type of campaign it is. Completely up to you. And down here we're going to have turn on enhanced conversions for your account. You're definitely going to want to leave this selected, and then we're going to do agree and continue. So on this page we can choose the bidding type or strategy that we want to use. It's going to be automatically set to conversions, but I'm going to switch it to clicks, at least initially, mainly because of course I want conversions or leads, but if I start with that kind of bidding strategy, Google's bidding strategies work by using the data that it has available to it, and it's going to have no conversion data. This is a brand new account, so it will probably struggle trying to optimize for conversions when it has no data on conversions. So clicks is a much more obtainable strategy to start with, so I'm going to go with that. And then the next option lets you choose to bid for new customers only. Now, when you're creating a brand new campaign, we'd normally recommend that you don't tick this option just because it can limit the amount of data that you get in the beginning of the campaign. And the important thing when you first start a campaign is you want to get a lot of data through for you to then be able to make more optimizations off the back of later down the line. So for the moment, I'm going to leave this unticked. It is something that you can change in the campaign settings later on though. So next is general campaign settings. So by default, these two networks, the search network and the display network, will be enabled. But actually we're going to turn these two off purely because they generally bring in lower quality traffic, and you can end up seeing the cost per conversion skyrocket because a lot of your traffic will be coming from these two sources. So initially we want to turn them off so that the only sources of our click traffic are from Google search. So next we've got locations. It's automatically set to all countries and territories, but really you want to be narrowing down. It's unlikely that you want to be targeting the whole world with your ads, and even if you're a company that can do that, you're probably going to want to not do that with a single campaign. You're probably going to want to split things out. So the options you have here is that the country that you chose when you created the campaign should then be the default one here, or you can enter another location. So say, for example, if you want to target a town or a county, you can search for that in here. So let's try Chelmsford. I can set to target that or exclude that here. It would help if I spelt it correctly. Or Essex as a county, I can target that. But for this, I'm going to click United Kingdom because the service that I'm doing is applicable to the whole of the country. Next step is to do location options, and this is always automatically set to presence or interest. And I want it to be presence. Reason being is that Presence or interest means that your ads can be shown to users that are interested in your target location, i.e. interested in the UK. So even though that means that I think I'm setting these ads up to only show within the UK, you can get clicks from people outside the UK which might not be relevant to your business. So a good practice is to always select presence so that the ad should only be triggered by people from within your target location. Languages should be the default language for the country that you selected, but if there's any others that you want to input, you can type them in here. And then audience segments we're going to come back to later on. Broad match keywords, even though this is already greyed out, we'd want to use match types. And then under more settings, the next thing that we're really going to pay attention to is your ad schedule. So your ad schedule determines when your ads will show. For example, you may only want your ads to show during business hours. You may only be able to deal with leads over that time. You may not want them to show in the evenings, the mornings, so on and so forth. It's going to automatically be set to your ads showing all the time, 24/7, Monday to Sunday. But if you want to change that, here's how you do it. So from this drop down, I can choose all days, Monday to Friday, Saturdays, Sundays, or the actual individual days of the week. And let's say I might want my ads to show from 7 in the morning until 7 at night. And then if I only want them to do that on Mondays to Fridays, I can do that. And then let's say I want a different schedule for Saturdays and Sundays. Let's say I want them to show from 9 until 8. Then I can do it like this. You can go into more detail with your schedules. You can segment timeframes a lot more. Most important thing to note is that you can only have 6 separate timeframes for each individual day if you want to go really granular. But if you don't, you can leave it like this, or you can just leave it as 24/7 if you don't want to customize when your ads are going to be showing. So on this next page, we're going to be setting up the keywords in our first ad group and the ad for our first ad group. Now with the ad group, you can rename it here. Pretty much with ad group naming, think of it like folders. If you were to organize your holiday photos, you'd probably want to put them in folders for each holiday instead of just having one folder that's holidays. It'd make your photos a little bit difficult to track. So the same kind of principle applies with ad groups. If you've done your keyword research and you've got a few different keyword themes, then ideally you want to split those themes up by ad group. So for this particular one, I'm going to go with malware removal. And then keywords. So here it's taken my website. I can tell it what services I particularly want to advertise, but it's already given me a couple of suggestions based on what Google thinks has search volume. Looking at these, none of these are relevant, so I'm going to take them out. I might just try and put malware removal. Let's see what it comes up with. Okay, some of these are actually relevant to what I was going to input regardless. So I have done a bit of keyword research and I'm going to bring in the keywords that I want to use. So by default, these keywords will be a broad match type. It explains a little bit about match types down here, but really I don't want to be starting with broad match. As the name implies, it broadly matches the keywords that I've put here to searches that are broadly related. So ideally I want to be starting with exact match and phrase match. So to make these exact match, what I need to do is put these square brackets on. So I'm going to do that now. And then I'm going to add these on to make the keywords phrase match. So here you'll see I've got phrase match variation and exact match variation. Next thing is to write the ad itself. So it's already input my homepage as the final URL for the ad. The final URL is the landing page, the page on your website that the user will reach when they actually click on your ad. And that is the page that I want to use for this particular example. You can edit the display path, so that is the URL that actually shows on the ad. This is just an opportunity to get some more keywords into your ad. It doesn't actually have to be real, so to speak. So I could put in here malware and then removal. In fact, that will actually fit in all. There we go. And you can see I've got a max of 15 characters for both. And now you can see the URL there is changed, but no matter what this is, when someone clicks on the ad, they're still going to reach this page. So the next thing is your headlines. Now, the default ad type is a responsive search ad. This gives you an option of up to 15 different headlines and up to 4 description lines. What Google will do is it will rotate combinations, and the more data it gets about which ones get better clicks and conversions, those are the variations that will start to show more to people, because the data shows that those variations are resonating better. So in here we want to enter some information of the business. It's already filled out the first one with the business name, but I think I'm going to be entering in different information. So I'm just going to fill this out now. So I filled out all of my headlines and descriptions, and you'll see that the example here will start populating with the information that you've input. The key things to remember is that at any one time, up to 3 headlines will show and up to 2 description lines. So sometimes that means only 1 headline will show, sometimes 3, sometimes only 1 description will show, sometimes 2. So there's quite a lot of combinations that can be created out of all of these different options. The key things to remember when writing your ad text is you should always include the keywords you're targeting with your ad group. So remember, we input these keywords up here, and the first 2 headlines I have used some of the keywords, or at least very, very close variations. It's likely that I can't say WordPress in these ads due to trademark, but WP is close enough. I can use WordPress in the keywords. It's important to note that I can target them with absolutely no issues. It's just you have to be careful about the wording you use in your ads. Quite rightly so. If the wording or the company name is trademarked, it's to stop other companies appearing like they are, let's say, WordPress. So it makes a lot of sense, but it doesn't matter because we're not trying to impersonate WordPress here. We're offering a WordPress related service. So we've got 2 keywords here, actually 3, and then with these headlines here, I'm talking about benefits of the service that this business provides. It's ongoing protection, it's fast, 24/7 security, specialists, they do extensive security audits, so it's more benefits, encouraging the user to click. And then right at the bottom I've got 2 call to actions based on the wording that is on the landing page. I want it all to tie in to the information that the user is going to get on the landing page as well. The messaging needs to be consistent. So these are 2 call to actions that I'll find on that landing page. And then with the descriptions, again, it goes into a little bit more detail about what I've said in the headlines. And again, call to actions: contact us today to secure your website, safeguard your website now, so on and so forth. So just make sure that your messaging really ties together, firstly the keywords that you're targeting, and then the information that the user is going to get on your website once they've clicked on your ad. If it's all a bit disjointed, it can be a bit jarring and can be a bit confusing for the user. So you want to make sure your user journey is as smooth as possible. So from here you can add in business name and logo. It says get access. That's because we haven't done advertiser verification yet. Once that is completed, then you'll be able to add in your business name and logos, and that will mean that right here your logo will show there and your business name will show in the ad as well. And then it gives you the option to add some ad assets, as they're called. So we've got site links and call outs. Call outs are like mini headlines, so you can get in some more of these points. The call outs, their character limit is 25 characters, unlike headlines that have a maximum of 30 characters. Descriptions have a maximum of 90 characters. And then site links are a way to link to other pages on your website aside from your landing page, i.e. the home page in this instance. Say if you've got a specific contact page, other relevant service pages, you can use the site links to offer the opportunity for the user to click on them. The other reason site links are really good is that they actually make your ad a lot bigger in the search results. So that means you're taking up more real estate, more opportunity for your ad to catch the eye of the searcher. So they're very important to use when relevant. I wouldn't recommend just putting any old pages on your website in here. Like for example, let's say if this particular business had a gallery for whatever reason, I wouldn't recommend putting a site link to a gallery, especially for this kind of service. It's not particularly relevant, so make sure that what you do input would be relevant. I'm just going to move me out of the way for this next step, because now we are done. And it is asking us to confirm the keywords. So pretty much this is going to be the whole ad group, malware removal. We're going to be targeting these keywords in exact and phrase match, and we've created an ad as well. So we're going to click next. And on this page, it's going to ask you to set a budget. And Google's going to make various recommendations. If you already have a budget in mind, then you're going to do set custom budget, in which you can enter in what you want to put. So let's say we wanted to put £20 a day. It's giving you an idea of the average cost per click, how many clicks roughly it thinks you're going to get, and what the weekly cost will be. Don't take these as gospel, they are just predictions, the same as what it says it thinks it can get here. It is just predictions. It's not based on solid data of how your ads have performed, because obviously they haven't done anything yet, they haven't been created yet. So take them with a pinch of salt. It's a good indication, but don't swear by it. So I'm just going to start with £20 for the moment. It's helpful that it at least gives you the idea of a weekly cost. And then we're going to hit next. And now it's going to show you an overview of the whole campaign. So you've got the name, the type, what the goal is, what the bidding strategy is, so on and so forth, based on all the settings, how many keywords, how many ads. So from here you can do publish campaign. And then if you come over to campaigns and then click campaigns again, you're going to see this view of your campaign with a few different sections of data here. I'm just going to move myself back over here. And that's your first campaign almost set up. There's a few things that we'd still need to do before we can start letting this accumulate data. So the first thing I want to do is I want to change that bidding strategy. Remember that we could only choose between conversions and clicks and target impression share. That's not actually the bidding strategy that I want to start off with. You can see that it says it's maximize clicks. I actually want to use a different bidding strategy that wasn't an option. So if I click on the settings, I can come to bidding here and change bid strategy. Now, something to note is that if you do want to do maximize clicks, you can set a maximum cost per click bid limit. Currently it's set to max clicks with no limit, and it will just spend whatever it wants on clicks within the £20 per day budget that I set. But if I want to set a maximum, I'd click that and then set my maximum. But that's not what I want to do. I actually want to select a bid strategy directly. It says not recommended, but it's fine. I'm going to be choosing manual cost per click. So the reason I'm going for manual cost per click is because this lets me set keyword bids at keyword level. I can set individual bids for each keyword that we're targeting. So I'm going to save that. So now I'm going to go into the campaign, and then I'm going to go on the ad group settings, and I'm going to set the max cost per click here. I'm going to set it to £2.50. Because it was default set to 1p, it's saying that it's a large increase, so I've got to hit save twice to confirm that I'm okay with that. And that will be saved. And then what that will mean is that every keyword within this ad group will have a bid of £2.50 each. So once we come into the ad group, we'll be able to see what the max cost per click is per keyword. And if this bid isn't high enough, it will tell us here what the first page bid for this particular keyword would need to be. So currently, because there's no issues, I know that this £2.50 bid is high enough for each of these keywords. But if it wasn't, it would show in red and tell me what that minimum first page bid would be. And then I could decide to increase that if I wanted. So from here, I now want to create a negative keyword list to apply to this campaign. So to create a negative keyword list, I need to come to Tools, Shared Library, and then Exclusion Lists. And here you'll see the list of negative keyword lists that I have. So currently there isn't one, so I'm going to create one. I'm going to name it Negatives. You can really call it whatever you want. And in here I'm going to put some terms that off the top of my head I know that I don't want the ads to appear for. So I'm just going to populate that now. So with negative keyword lists, you can use match types in them as well. So for example, these would be considered broad negative keywords. I can do this for phrase. I can do this for exact. But for this particular example, I'm going to put all of these particular words in as broad match negative keywords. I don't really want anyone searching for topics relating to these seeing our ads, and that's because we don't want free services, we don't want DIY, we don't want really anyone looking for cheap stuff, and these are all question related terms. Anyone searching for this is normally looking for an answer to a specific question rather than looking for a service. They're researching, so they're not really our customer just yet. I don't really want anyone looking for jobs or salaries either. So I'm going to create this, and then I'm going to select it, apply to campaigns, and I'm going to apply it to the campaign that we just created. So that means that those negatives will be applied to that specific campaign. The final thing I want to do for my campaign is add in audience segments. So for that, I'm going to go into the campaign, and then we've got audiences, keywords and content, and I'm going to go on audiences. And I'm going to add audience segments. I'm going to do it at campaign level. And then it brings up some suggestions based on the website. Pretty much the idea is that with this list, I'm going to choose a few areas that I believe my ideal customers are going to fall into. And then they're always going to be set to observation. So what that means is that I'm not targeting these people specifically, which is what the other option would be. And generally we don't choose this option because it will massively limit who your ads can show to. The reason that we're adding these segments in is so that we can observe how people in these audiences perform. So I'm going to hit save, but you can also search for like particular words. Like I could search for security and see what comes up if there's anything in here. It will give you quite a lot of different things to look for. So I could add in technology industry. You can use this to search for a few things, but it'll always show you a few defaults that it thinks are relevant. I'm going to save them. And then we can see if I do show table under audience segments, then it's going to start populating information based on people who fall under these audiences, and then I can make bid adjustments based on them. So let's say, for example, people in this particular audience, they start converting at a really cheap cost per conversion. I can make a positive bid adjustment based on that. But people in this audience start converting at quite a high cost, or they don't convert at all, but they do click on the ads, then I can make bid adjustments based on that performance. But that's the point of adding in observation audiences, is so pretty much we can observe how they perform. And that is pretty much the whole process. You've now successfully created your first Google Ads account and first search campaign. Now the next thing to do is see what starts happening with the ads, what kind of clicks they get, what kind of conversions you get coming through. What you'll have to do though, and something we haven't covered in this video, is actual conversion tracking setup. You may start to notice leads coming through into your business, but they won't actually start showing in Google Ads until you've set up conversion tracking. So that's an important next step. This video is just covering creating your campaign and the account, but please make sure that you do follow that next step and do conversion tracking next. If you do have any questions or any other topics that you'd like us to cover, please let us know in the comments down below.